Breakthrough Real Estate Investing Podcast, episode 90.
Hello and welcome to the Breakthrough Real Estate Investing Podcast. We put this show together to inspire you and help you break through to the life that you want to live through the power of real estate investing. My name is Rob Brake, and here with me again is Sandy McKay. Hey Sandy, how's it going?
I love that pause. Every episode you do that. It's cool.
You never know who it's going to be.
Makes me feel like it's going to be someone different one day. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're rocking the beard.
Weird, eh?
Yeah. No, it's not weird.
First time I'm about 10 years late on the trend, but yeah, it's itchy. Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made a bet. We're doing something on our team here just around some like scripting and whatnot. And I actually can shave it now because he lost on this thing we did this week, but I don't know. I'm just kind of going to ride it out a little bit longer.
It should have been whoever lost shaved their head. That would have been
scarier. But yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll keep it going for a bit. Makes me look a bit older, I think. There's a little bit you can't see it here, but there's a little gray in there. And...
Oh no, I can see it. Don't worry.
Okay.
No, it looks good. Looks good. What else is new?
What else is new? I don't know. There's not a whole lot that's extremely exciting. I guess we're just been a busy spring with real estate and everything. It's been pretty good and active. So yeah, just kind of riding that out and getting through the busy season.
You got the property management, you got the investing, you got all that stuff going on. And okay, cool.
You?
Me? Yeah, well, I've got a property closing in about a month. So I'm excited about that, just planning that out. And I'm going to be doing videos and stuff like that once we can get in there. So yesterday we got turned away at our revisit where I had the contractors with me. So that was kind of a bummer. You know, I go to the door and the person's just like, no, man, I don't know. You're not today, dude. Okay, well, I guess we'll come back. But no, we'll get in there. We'll get it done.
Well, the only other exciting thing is, and we'll talk later, but we are working on getting this live show at some point. And
a live show. We're going to record a live show with a cool guest. We don't know who it is yet, but we're planning on making it something that it'll be pretty interesting because people will be able to come, attend, ask questions, which is a little bit different because now there's not really any way for people to call people to ask the guest questions, right? They have to just take the answers that they get as we go through. So it'll be interesting and I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, and so we'll just tease that for now, but September, October, November, it's going to be in one of those months, very likely, of 2019. We could
probably do 2 in those months, but yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
But it'll be good. Everyone should to look out for that and keep tabs on that because it's going to be a fun event. Good to come out and meet some of the other listeners as well and ourselves and I think it'll be an awesome event. So. And
speaking of events, if you want to hear what Sandy and I are up to, you can go to breakthroughreipodcast.ca and there you will be able to sign up for our list, I guess, to get on our list. That way you'll find out about all the events that Sandy and I both have coming up in our respective cities and what else. You can hear every episode that we've recorded there as well. So just go to breakthroughreipodcast.ca. And you can also find all of our social media links there as well.
And iTunes, of course, jump on iTunes and give us a review. I know we say that every show, but it really helps us build up our following there and helps us attract some great guests and bring more great content to everyone. So jump on there. Again, if you're listening on there, it's really easy. Just hit the review section and leave us a review. Yeah,
we haven't had any new reviews in the last 2 weeks. So get on there, guys. Let us know what you think about the show, and we will read them on the air as well as take your advice and run with it. So I guess that's about it. Now, today we are super happy to have with us Debbie Gilbert, and she's going to be sharing with us the need for senior housing options to address the steadily increasing senior demographic in Canada, as well as one of the most deadly challenges facing some seniors today, which is, well, we'll find out later, but it's here in front of me, so that happens to be social isolation. which, sometimes that burdens me as well. But we'll talk about that. So Debbie, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. For those who don't know, and I'll read a quick bio here on Debbie so we can help people understand who you are and where you've come from here. So Debbie's born and raised in Barrie, and her career's been varied, including running her own business, owning and operating a franchise, executive director of a local charity, and working with senior administrative positions in education and family mental health. And she believes all her work and life experiences brought her to her current career, which is as a real estate entrepreneur. And of course, that being why we've had her on our show here. And she's got some great things to continue talking about. She's also downsized and outsourced from her JOB in 2015 and decided at that point, I guess, to get some really formal education on real estate investing. Wasting no time, she started building wealth through real estate. And she's a full-time investor. She manages her own properties in the Barrie and Aurelia area. She's got some duplexes, student rentals, a little bit of a mix of the style of properties she has there. We'll talk a bit about that. And she's done some coaching, speaking, writing. She's all over the place at a lot of the real estate investment meetup groups around the area. And a difficult experience with an older person in 2017 inspired her on her journey for her new project, which is called Rose Hill Heights. We'll talk a lot about that. Which is basically shared housing for senior women. And you can find a lot more about that story over on our video, on the video at our website, rosehillheights.com. And again, just welcome to the show. Debbie, anything else to add to that bio there? Does that cover most of your journey so far?
Oh, I would say my full-time journey, yes. But it all started actually in the late 80s. Okay, I'm dating myself here, but I was an accidental investor in that my grandfather purchased a large house and put in a second suite long before it was, in vogue. And he lived in the second suite, which was just beautiful. And I took care of him. And he passed away in 1992 and left me the house. Thus, I have a house with the second suite. It's very addicting. And so in one form or another, until I began my full-time real estate investing career in 2015, I've always had a rental property of one kind or another, but just dabbling in it until I became a full-time investor.
So let's talk a bit more about your dabbling then. So you got that one place, and that was, and when did that happen? Sorry, when did he pass?
1992.
92. So
Yes.
After that, you said it was addictive. So you got a bug right away, or it was something that sort of built up?
No, I didn't understand the value of what I had, actually. It turned out that obviously I had no mortgage and I rented it out. Through hook or by crook, I found a fantastic tenant. She was with me for almost ever. And the income that I was getting from this second suite was just gravy. It was really cool. I mean, it wasn't earmarked for anything. It wasn't necessary for expenses. And so it was fun money. And that's the addicting part, not the real estate investing. When I sold that house, actually, I was able to purchase 2 townhouses. So one did not have any mortgage, and then the one that I lived in had a mortgage. So obviously, the money from the rental covered a good part of my mortgage. And so I was just dabbling in it. I didn't really understand, the big picture, how it works and how you can build wealth through real estate. It was just kind of dabbling in it until I got some formal education.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's the same experience that I had for the most part. Just the accidental thing as well, and the gravy money, right? So
yeah.
When all of a sudden you go from, this is my experience, not having any money left over at the end of the month, or a lot of month left at the end of the money, as they say, we went to all of a sudden now having some extra money that we had, that we just weren't expecting. So that was really the wake-up call for us. Now, you said that the next step was your education.
Yes. I was downsized and outsourced from my JOB. Thank you very much, Sandy. in 2015. And that's when I really started to look at things and begin to understand the value of building wealth in a long-term basis through real estate. So I started reading a couple of books. Of course, I'd read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like in the 90s when it came out. I actually have Cash Flow for Kids for my daughter, and she was playing that when she was 6 back
Where'd you get it?
in the late 90s. Right from the Rich Dad Corporation. I know it's not that anymore. I don't even know what it is anymore.
Mhm.
But it's so old that it came on the 3.5-inch disc. I have the board game, and then I have the 3.5-inch disc that went into the computer. So anyway, so I knew about all that stuff. I mean, it was always percolating in the back of my mind, but not until I reread Rich Dad, and then I found Don Campbell, and I found Julie Broad, and all these great Canadian authors giving us the absolute honest truth, the stuff that works here. I thought, man, I got to get a piece of this, and that's when I decided to move forward with education. Funnily enough, my education ended up being mostly in the States, and I began investing in the States. I still hold some swampland in Florida, in case anyone is interested. It's not swampland, really. It's a lovely building lot. But then, I came back up here, and Barrie, which, as you both know, is probably one of the top 5 cities to invest in Ontario. That's my backyard. And there was just a plethora of opportunities here, right in my own backyard, right in Barrie. And so I started to apply the knowledge that I learned in my education to investing here in Barrie, and I've been here ever since.
Now, before we jump into Barrie, what kind of things, was it just that one in Florida, or did you have some other American investments?
I did a few things in Florida. I did a bit of wholesaling.
You did wholesaling in Florida?
I did. Yeah.
Okay,
I did.
so
I think I did three, like not a lot.
So, and when you say wholesaling, so you tied up private deals and then sold them to somebody else?
Yes.
How on earth did you move there? Tell us about this a little bit.
No, I was based out of Fort Myers. That was my place of choice. And I had a fantastic coach there. She was a real estate agent, and now, holy cow, she's written books, and she's got this huge coaching program. She's in several states now, but she really helped me through the process. So I have an LLC down there. I have to file taxes down there every year, but I'm not active down there anymore. So I did some wholesaling, and then I did buy some development property.
It's very cool. So how does... I don't want to get tied up on this too much. We've got lots of stuff to talk about, but hey, we got some time.
Yep.
How do you go about wholesaling there? Can you explain that process a little bit?
Pretty much the same as here. You find a great deal. You have a list of interested investors. You find out what they're looking for, where they're looking for, like they're looking for, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. They want it in a particular area. And you go hunting for properties. And when you find one that's a good deal, you run the numbers, and then you call up your 2 or 3 potential investors, and one of them takes it. And
so these are MLS deals, though? Not
necessarily, no. No, you get connected through, well, for me, it was through my coach, through my real estate agent, and they do a lot of pocket stuff down there, or they did a few years ago. I don't know if they still do it now. There was a lot of stuff that happened privately. A guy who knows a guy who's selling his house, or, my neighbor across the street is talking about downsizing, that sort of thing. So actually not one of my 3 wholesales was on any sort of an MLS.
To me, this just sounds like mind over matter. You decided to make that work thing because, quite frankly, like, I can think of so many reasons why it shouldn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Well, why doesn't the agent just have some buyers? I mean, if it's me, I've got buyers all day long for pocket deals. I don't need somebody to try to wholesale it for me.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So this just goes to show that really, if you set your mind to something, then you can go ahead and do it. I think
that's very true.
Opportunity to go ahead and do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's very true, Rob. And also it goes to having a great team around you.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my list of investors. I knew exactly what they were looking for. They were open to my calls. They knew I could run the numbers. They knew that what I was bringing them was quality stuff. And then the other part of the team, of course, she was a real estate agent, but she was also a coach. She does this awesome thing. It's called Fix, Flip, or Run.
Okay.
And so we do these property tours, much like we all do in all different areas. But her property tours, a group of us would go around, and we would go to maybe a listing, or maybe an unlisted, or maybe a vacant, and we would go through and observe things that we had learned to look for. And then we would be given these cards, and we would each have a fix, flip, or run. And so we'd all gather around the counter, and bam, down goes the cards. And then we had to explain why our decision. And you learn so much that way, man. So much. It was really great. And that was part of her program. Yeah, that was part of her program. It was really
good idea, Rob, for your next tour. I think you should do it.
I like that.
I hope it's not copyrighted or trademarked or anything.
I'll just call it something else.
Call it something else. Okay. Yeah, it's a great learning experience.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. I like it. Okay, so now we're back in Barrie.
Yes.
And you decided to focus a little more on investments in that area. So how did things go from there?
I started to build a power team here. I got in touch with people who were doing the things that I wanted to do in my area successfully. You probably know many of them. And I also started to go to meetups, found some meetups, some really great ones, Durham, of course, York Region. I spoke there last night, actually, at the York Region Real Estate Investment Meeting, the one run by Gary McGowan.
Gary? Okay.
Yeah. And anyway, so I started to build my power team here in Barrie. I had 2 agents that were investor focused. As it turns out, I just work with the one now mostly. And basically, she only ever sends me, when I'm looking for something, she'll only ever send me something where she's pretty much done the numbers. She's an investor herself. And she's also very creative and visual. So I love looking at properties with her. And she says, do this and this and this. And she's also very up on the local bylaws and how to second suite legally. And so she's just a delight to work for. So I just, okay, I'm ready. I've got some money in my pocket and I'm ready to buy. And we just went from there.
And now you've shifted your focus to more seniors.
Yes.
So what are some of the options available for seniors who are downsizing now then?
That opens a whole can of worms, Rob, because as you know, demographics are changing in Canada. At the last census, 2016, 15% of us in Canada were over the age of 65. And it's projected that in 2030, 25%, that's 1/4 of all Canadians, are going to be 65 or over, which is considered senior. So the options that are available now, I focus particularly on women for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's probably a lot more of them around that age than there is men, and I had to start somewhere. Not to say that Rose Hill Heights will always be for women, but I started with women. So for a senior woman who is perhaps still in her family home, she's single by divorce or death, widow, her children, as our children do, are all growing up, moved away. Some of them live overseas. Some of them live, hours away. She's rattling around in this old house that is completely paid off. And she's sitting on, maybe here in Barrie, $800,000-$900,000. She's not happy because there's a huge burden with home ownership. At our age, we can manage it, but somebody who's maybe 70 has difficulty with maintaining a house, and yet enjoys the lifestyle that house allows her to have, her entertaining, her socializing, just even the status that she has attached to that house. So her choices, there's a rental and there's a purchase. So if she was going to purchase something, she would probably downsize to a condo. Here in Barrie, we have a few condos around the lake. You're looking at probably around $400,000 to get into a condo, and then you've got fees. So that ties up a good bit of your capital that you get from selling your house. There's something new on the market now. It's not entirely new. It's co-ownership. And I found in my research that co-ownership really works best when it's organic. When there are 4 friends that get together, sell their houses and buy something, renovate it, and live there. And a good testament to that would be the Golden Girls of Port Perry. So everybody look that up when I'm done here. Golden Girls of Port Perry. Anyway, so they've done great, and they've done some speaking at various locations. And I know one of them personally, and they've really helped me on this journey. So there's a co-ownership model. But what's happened now is investors are purchasing very large homes and converting them into a co-ownership environment. So they're building suites, bed, sitting room, or bedroom and a den and a bathroom, private bathroom, and then the rest of the house is shared. But the rest of the house, you own your unit, but the rest of the house is kind of shared expenses. So you're talking utilities, taxes, property maintenance, it's all shared. So I think maybe the flaw there might be, what if all the units aren't sold in that house? How are they sharing those costs? What if Granny in the basement runs a space heater 24/7? Think of the hydro she's using, and everybody has to cover that cost. So it's a little scary to me, but that's the new fractional ownership, co-ownership model that has appeared. And another new thing, well, not entirely new, is a retirement home. Now, a retirement home in our lives has always been somewhere where you go to be cared for. But newer retirement homes are seeing the opportunity where they can be dividing the care into different areas. So you can now purchase or rent an apartment in a retirement home, and it's independent living. So it's an apartment, you've got a living room and a bathroom and a bedroom. You have a kitchenette though, because we all know about bylaws and kitchens and units and stuff. So you have to partake in their meal plans. So you can purchase that, you can rent that, and it's obviously a very high cost. So those are 3 areas basically that might be open to somebody who might consider Rose Hill Heights: condo, fractional ownership, or a retirement community. Now for rental, we have, typical things. They're luxury apartments. Sure, there's some in all of our communities. They're very expensive, but they're very lovely. And that means that you're not obviously putting your capital into something, you're renting and you're investing your capital, which is a great thing. One of the problems with that, Rob, you mentioned it earlier, is isolation. You never know your neighbors, right? Another is perhaps a home in a retirement community. Up here in Barrie, we have this place, it's called Sandy Cove Acres. Even just the name, I think that comes from the 1960s, but it's essentially a trailer park for mature people. It's a 55 plus environment. They're trailer homes, and it's a land lease, and so there's money up front, and but it's a community. Okay, so
Acres
isolation
is mandatory in the name for those kind of things, I believe.
Yeah,
It has to have acres on the end.
yeah, I'm sure it is. So if you ever have, a hobby farm or something, don't put acres on the end of the name. Anyway, so those are the options, and they're not really all that attractive. And I think that the one that is probably the most enticing and the least attractive is moving into independent living in a resort style retirement home, because I mean, it's wonderful, opulent restaurant, amenities, but you know what? When you move into a retirement home, you don't move out again. right? So even if you're going in for independent living, the next step is assisted living, and the step after that is, you know, memory care or fully assisted living. So I'm not sure that somebody who might consider shared housing at Rose Hill Heights is really ready to make that psychological leap into, this is my last move. It's independent living, but it's a retirement home. So those are the options that are out there right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So not very many though, but
No.
still there's more now, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we talked a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages of those. Then is there anything
Yeah.
else to add on those, like some real major advantages or disadvantages of those options?
I think the disadvantage of purchasing is that it ties up your capital, right? So here's our lady who has just sold her house mortgage free, 800, 900,000. And I know you guys have never heard of anything selling for that, but you guys are probably all over the millions in the Hamilton and Durham region. But so she's got $800,000 or $900,000, and if she chooses to purchase a condo downtown Barrie, she wants to stay in the community. First of all, she's looking at, say, easily 400,000 up front. So that cuts her earnings right in half. All of that profit right in half. From there, you've got your monthly fees. So you've got your condo fees, which are outrageous in some of those towers. You've got your utilities, your insurance. You have to buy your parking spot. I mean, so you could be looking at another $3,000 a month on just living expenses, right? So that's a disadvantage of going the condo route. I think one of the advantages, well, I'll get into Rose Hill Heights later. One of the advantages of renting, whether you rent an apartment or an independent living suite, is that you're not tying up that capital. So you can carefully invest that capital for your future when you're in your 90s and when you need some real care. So you've got that bit of freedom. And then depending on the cost, I mean, here in Barrie, if you're renting a luxury apartment on the lakefront, you're probably starting at around $2,800. Not necessarily all inclusive, so you probably have some costs on top of that also. So you could be looking at $2,000 on top, you know, of just regular expenses, your monthly expenses for renting an apartment. So that one doesn't have quite so many downsides as actually investing your capital in something. But the biggest thing about both of those disadvantage is isolation. And that's the real issue, I think, for seniors right now. It's come up several times. There was a recent study that said that senior isolation has the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day on your longevity.
Wow.
So it's a real problem. And I can see that. I can see that in some of the seniors that I've worked with. So, you know, some of your friends have passed away, your husband passed away, or you're single by choice, your kids live in other countries. And so you don't get out to the grocery store when it's snowing, and you're not really eating all that well. And then, oh gosh, it's raining. Do I really want to go to church group tonight? And so they're self-isolating. And along with that comes, you know, depression and self-esteem issues and stuff like that. And just aloneness. And Rob, even you alluded to sometimes where you feel isolated. And so you know what that feeling is.
the winters are long here, Debbie.
Yes, the winters are a lot longer in Barrie, man.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
They're
some
long
of
enough.
the advantages and disadvantages of the rental and the purchase model in terms of that.
And so Rose Hill Heights, you've obviously seen an opening here in the market as an entrepreneur here to tap into this, and both maybe it's good financially, but it's also definitely good as far as helping out some of these seniors. So what is that all about? What does the Rose Hill Heights do? What's your vision for it all?
Rose Hill Heights, we have the house now, and just finishing up the renovations. We're starting to do tours and open houses and all that sort of thing, looking for tenants. So Rose Hill Heights is a beautiful ranch bungalow. It's in an upscale, highly desirable neighborhood in Barrie. It backs onto the Ardagh Bluffs, and those people who aren't familiar with Barrie, that is 518 acres of environmentally protected land with 17 kilometers of groomed trails through this mature forest. So this house backs right onto that, So there's no neighbors behind. It's very private. Ranch bungalows, so you walk in the main floor, and the main floor we have, let's see, we've got the formal dining room, formal living room, huge eat-in kitchen open to a family room. We have 2 suites upstairs, which is a bed sitting room and a private bathroom. On the first floor, we also managed to get a laundry in there, so I've got a stacker unit up there. And this property in particular has a powder room, which is great. So any of the ladies who are having guests come over and, you know, book club in the living room or whatever, the guests can use the powder room. They don't have to enter somebody's private space to use the bathroom. So that was a real bonus about this property. So being a ranch bungalow, it's a walkout downstairs. So we have 2 units downstairs, all above grade. 2 units downstairs, bed sitting room and bathroom. We also have another family room down there, which has another TV and seating. We have a kitchenette. Of course, we don't want to cross any bylaw rules here, so there's no cooking down there, but we do have a microwave, a fridge, you know, a kettle, coffee maker, dishwasher, everything that you would need. And there's a walkout to a patio in this beautifully landscaped yard, which backs onto mature forest. So it's highly, highly desirable. And the socioeconomic demographic that is alone in her house right now, her kids have moved away, she's starting to feel isolated. This would be one of her choices because it's at the standard to which she is used to living. She might even be living in this neighborhood right now. So the house is really, really beautiful. All of the common areas are professionally decorated and furnished. I worked with somebody that was involved in geriatrics when I chose the furniture. So the recliners, they're electric because often older people have shoulder issues, can't reach the handle to get the foot part of the recliner up. We have counter height kitchen table and chairs because it's easier to get in and out of the chairs. Just little things like that really make a difference to older people. So I furnished the whole place with that in mind also. So what I'm trying to build in Rosehill Heights is a community within the house. So downstairs is furnished somewhat sparsely. We have a kitchenette for convenience. We have a family room, you know, in case somebody doesn't want to participate in Netflix night upstairs. But upstairs is furnished for the 4 ladies. And I expect that that's where a lot of the activity will happen. In the common room, the book club will meet in the living room, and Mary will have her birthday dinner in the formal dining room when she has her family over. So there's going to be a lot of activity up there. And the very best part about it is that it's a family unit, right? So if Mary is up every morning at 7:30 having her tea on the back deck, and Joan gets up at 8 o'clock and she gets to grab her tea and she goes out to the back deck and Mary's not there, you be darn sure that Joan's going to be tapping on Mary's door saying, "Everything okay? Can I get you a cup of tea?" So it's kind of, it eliminates the social isolation, the fear of a fall and nobody finding you for 3 days. It's just somebody else at the same age and stage of life, a like-minded senior woman living in the same house. So I think that's the biggest benefit. Now, the second biggest benefit I feel, and what my research has indicated, is that it's one all-inclusive rent. And as the owner of the house, I'm willing to offer month to month. I'm willing to offer a year lease. You know, it's entirely what fits with the woman's needs. The rent is, it's all inclusive. So that's utilities, cleaning, blazing fast internet, awesome premium cable package, grass cutting, garden maintenance, snow removal, even shoveling of the walkways are taken care of, all the property maintenance, parking, everything you can imagine is pretty much included in there, except food. So unlike a condo or an apartment, you don't have multiple bills. So you're not, oh gosh, did I pay that? It's just one all-inclusive price. And the way that it's priced is to attract the ideal tenant, which is that socioeconomic demographic who would be considering a luxury apartment or purchasing a condo as they downsize. But they're concerned about isolation. They're concerned about investing capital that could tie up. And so that's the person that I'm looking for. So yes, it's affordable for that group. I often get calls from individuals, low-income seniors, and I have an abundance of contacts that can help them. But that's not exactly my target audience or my perfect client.
Right. Like this isn't just a small little room in the corner of a building somewhere.
No,
Yeah.
it's really not. It's really not.
Where did you get the idea for this?
It kind of came at me from two places. Emotionally, it came from an experience that I had. My video, Inspiration and Vision, is on my website, and you're welcome to look at that. But to sort of encapsulate that, I had an older friend who was in one of these resort-style retirement homes, and she was living high off the hog, man. We had such a great time together. And she ran out of money. Her money was being handled by somebody else. She didn't really know how to write a check. She was of that generation where it just comes, money just comes and things happen. So essentially she ran out of money. She had to move from this lifestyle into a long-term care facility in another city. Her name came up. She had very little choice. She moved into this long-term care facility. Her lifestyle changed, the quality of her life changed, and the very last time I saw her was at Christmas in 2017, and the day after I visited with her. We had a great visit that day, by the way, thank God, and she went into the hospital and passed away a few days after that. And so I started thinking about, how does somebody not know how much money they have? How does somebody run out of money? I mean, who's doing the budgeting here? Isn't there a better way to do this? Did she really have to be spending $8,000 a month in this resort style retirement home? It had a hair salon and a movie theater and all that. Or could she have had the same social experience in another setting? And I remember her talking, here we go. Remember her talking about the Golden Girls. And I'm sure you both know about the Golden Girls on TV, 4 and then 5 older women who came up with a very creative solution to a living situation. And it was hilarious. It was a great thing. And I remember my friend talking about, she had so many friends. Oh, wouldn't it be great if we could all just get a big house together and just live together, and we'd have, friendship, and we could do things, and we would have activities. And so there was that part of it that kind of niggled in the back of my mind. And then the other part was kind of my investor hat, having student rentals in my portfolio, understanding that it is entirely feasible to rent a house by the room, basically, and have unrelated people live together in harmony, basically. And so I kind of put those two things together, spent the next year and a bit doing research, and came up with Rose Hill Heights.
Now, I'm sure it's not just as easy as, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and then you go do it. You said you did a bunch of research, so you must have had to work with city, figure out what. Yeah, like tell us a little bit about all of that.
Oh gosh, that's top secret, Rob. Okay, yeah, so Um, the first thing I had to do was to research older people, seniors, to see if this was even something that they would be interested in. So I did, focus groups and SurveyMonkey, and I talked to people. I went out to senior meetings, and my research very clearly said that there were some definite priorities, which I based Rose Hill Heights on. Number one finding was they want their own bathroom. That's it. I mean, we all would, right? Second thing is location. The location is so vitally important. They have to be able to walk to transit if they want to. They have to be able to walk to coffee. They have to be able to walk to the drugstore. They have to be able to get some groceries. And they have to be able to walk to all of these places. Rose Hill Heights claims, and I can substantiate because I've walked it myself, we can walk to a Tim Hortons and a Starbucks. We can walk to a Shoppers Drug Mart and a Rexall. We can walk to a Food Basics. And the best thing of all, we are less than half a kilometer from the Holly Rec Center, which is a city-run recreation center, arenas, pools, programming, all sorts of stuff like that. Not to mention, for our more sprightly seniors, the 17 kilometers of hiking trails right out the back door. So location was supremely important to my seniors. The third thing was a house. They wanted a house. They wanted a front door. They wanted a back door. They wanted a deck. They wanted a patio. They wanted a yard. They wanted gardens. They didn't want to live in an apartment building or a condo building or an institution. So they wanted a house. And the fourth thing was they didn't want to feel crowded, which was challenging for me because I had to find something within a reasonable price that was big enough to be able to put these 4 suites with private bathrooms and then have enough common areas that each one of my women can have a guest over and not be crowded. One can be using the living room, one can be using the back deck, one can be using the family room downstairs, so they can have guests and they won't be in each other's faces. So common area was very important to them. So further research, okay, experts. Yeah, I worked with the city. I also had an interesting experience that lasted several months with a psychologist who helped me put together a tenant screening protocol, which is significantly more in-depth than a typical residential application and interview, basically, when you're filling your residential vacancies. When you're dealing with seniors, you really have to look at, you're not going to get an employment letter in the last 2 pay stubs. So you have to really go in depth when it comes to their income, essentially. You have to go in depth to who supports them, where are their family, who are their family. And we have to get a little bit intrusive around their power of attorney. As the landlord, I need to know who to call when something goes wrong. So it gets very involved. And then the third part of the tenant screening is all about history, past, future, vision, dreams, likes, dislikes, habits. And that's how I can ensure that I can put the like in like-minded women, so I can ensure harmony in the house. So that's the theory. So that was a huge project. That took about 3 months to work on that screening process. And then you're probably going to ask about the lease. As I said before, I'm willing to offer month to month. I'm willing to offer a year lease, whatever works for them. I have that flexibility. I'm not a corporation. I'm not an institution. So I have that flexibility, but I did have to spend a significant amount of time working with legals, being able to develop some clauses that can go into the standard lease that can help me to help my ladies understand when it's time to move on, because Rose Hill Heights does not provide any senior care. So once somebody starts to decline, evidence of decline, whether it be, emotional or physical, we need to put things in motion so that the lady knows that it's time for them to move on to their next step. So the legals cost an arm and a leg and a lot of months of work. help me develop some top secret things that go into the lease that allow me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing, the insurance industry didn't know what the heck to do with me. We based it off of student rental income. So of course there's a higher liability and it's structured a little different, but my clientele, we have seniors in the house. So I had to come up with, I've got all the grab bars as per regulations. I've got chair height toilets, all of that sort of thing. So I had to meet a lot of very strict subjectives for the insurance industry to be able to get insurance. So there was so much that happened behind the scenes during that year before Rose Hill Heights actually became bricks and mortar. A lot of work.
Yeah, it sounds like you put a lot of research into it. You didn't
Yeah.
just rush into it. You wanted to make sure that you were building exactly what people were looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. I also worked a lot on my own credibility in that time. For example, Rose Hill Heights is a member of the Barrie Senior Services Network community. I also have participated in the City of Barrie Senior Advisory Committee. I am working with a local CARP executive on a special project right now. CARP is Canadian Association for Retired People, for those of us that might be under 50.
Okay.
So my own credibility, my own knowledge, and my own immersion into the senior community is happening too, also at the same time.
Oh, that's interesting. And I think you are offering something definitely unique.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you plan to continue to scale this model?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. That's why I'm trying to get these processes and checklists and everything sort of in order. And I will be managing the house for the first year that I have tenants, just so that I can be sure to iron out all these bugs. And then we'll move on to the next one. So Rose Hill Heights shared housing for senior women is for women right now. This house is for women right now. I fully expect that the next one could be co-ed. The next one after that might be married couples downsizing, wanting to live in this lifestyle choice. And there's some discussion in the gay community that they're having some difficulties as their older generation are moving into retirement homes. They're not being able to live the lifestyle that they choose in a retirement home environment. And so they're really excited about this lifestyle choice. So it's endless. This is just the first one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, it sounds like there's lots of opportunity there too.
Yeah.
So, any other big plans for your business? I know that's enough.
Thanks, Rob. I think that my portfolio right now is in a place where I'm quite comfortable. My initial strategy was, buying the single family home, putting in the legal second suite. I did a few of those. I've got a couple of student rentals in there, and I'm happy with all that. I'm happy where they are. I'm happy that, I'm getting appreciation and pay down, and I self-manage. I'm happy with my tenants. I've got those processes in place. And I think from now on, I'm going to be focusing on Rose Hill Heights, because once I get this first one filled and get some of those bugs worked out, which happens in every new model, I think that there are going to be investors knocking down my door. And I know that there's going to be a waiting list of seniors who are going to want this lifestyle. So my real goal is to have this shared housing environment, hopefully Rose Hill Heights, on the radar in the next 5 years as one of the options for seniors who are not ready for the pine box, who are healthy, independent, and still have a good 20, maybe 30 years to go. I want them to have this as an option, as a lifestyle choice when it comes to downsizing.
Mm-hmm. And as we continue on, and like you said, there's going to be a lot more seniors, but I believe they're also in a lot better shape than they used to be, right? They're younger at heart and really in body as well, I think.
You're
So,
absolutely right about that, Rob. In fact, I have to say, um, an author some time ago, somebody that I follow, who happens to be running for president in the US right now, Marianne Williamson, she described it as we're living longer now. We're living 10, 20, even 30 years longer. Used to be you retire at 65 and you kick the bucket at 69. You don't need a lot of retirement planning,
mhm.
right? But now people are living healthy into their 90s. So we've got 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We've got 30 years of healthy retirement. These are gift years. They're not fraught with illness and sickness and hospitalization. For most of us, they won't be, because we're more knowledgeable. We have a healthy lifestyle. We know how to eat properly. We exercise. Those are gift years. So let's give them the joy that they deserve. Let's give them some
Mhm.
more choices about their lifestyle. So yeah, we're living longer and more healthy.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's interesting you said it's student rentals. That's what I was kind of picturing. They would look at it as too. It's kind of like it's kind of similar, right? Just a different demographic.
It's interesting that you should say that, Sandy, because there's a woman in town here in Barrie who is doing an outstanding job. She is converting her student rentals to senior rentals.
Mhm.
So when the students move out, she's moving seniors in. Okay, I mean, there's a little upgrading to the house, of course, but
Mhm.
she's moving seniors in, and she's addressing the need for those low-income seniors, because the rooms are going for the same as they would for the students, you know, anywhere between $500-$700, and she's addressing that need. So that's awesome, Sandy. That's really very insightful of you to see that the relationship there. So she's doing it for the low-income seniors, and I'm doing it for the different socioeconomic demographic.
Now there's someone here in Hamilton doing the same actually. I
Yeah.
think it's the same thing. It's kind of geared towards the lower income
Yep.
bracket of that group, but I
Yep.
thought it was a great idea too. And then
Yeah.
just hearing you talk about it, it's definitely a need for that. Absolutely, I think
Yes.
we can all kind of see that
Yes.
as baby boomers get older as well, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, well, if you think about it, really, if you're converting your current student rentals,
Hmm.
most of the time, if you've bought them as student rentals, they're not quite. They're you're not afraid to put students in them. That's the condition they're in. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
So most
Yeah.
of the time, they're not going to convert easily into what you're trying to build.
No, they wouldn't convert at all, actually, Rob, because student rentals, generally you have 3 or 4 sharing a bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
maybe on one floor, and on another floor you could have 3 or 4 sharing a bathroom, and it's not ideal. I mean, from my research and my socioeconomic demographic, the number one thing that they wanted was a private bathroom. So this model, this changing the student rentals, I mean, certainly upgrading painting and repairing holes in the drywall, replacing the carpet and the flooring, and probably the bathrooms and the kitchen too. But moving seniors into that sort of environment, sure, there could be 3 or 4 of them sharing a bathroom and a kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
but it's addressing the need for low income housing for seniors. It's awesome.
Great. Okay, well, I mean, we've gotten a ton of info today. Any other
Great.
questions that you want covered, Sandy?
Well, I think we got a ton on the Roseville Heights and the senior living and all that. I think that was awesome. What else? Did we talk about? You had an interesting story on something around your illegal second suite conversion. We didn't talk about that yet. You want
That
to
was
hear
my
that
funny
story?
story. You want to hear my funny story?
Yeah,
So,
sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so it's the very first one I did, right? Okay, and I'm project manager. I'm arranging trades. I learned how to do this through education and you know, meetups, and particularly in Durham, like he always says, and who are the contractors in the room? And so you really get to talk to people and learn things in an environment like that. So I was project manager. I coordinated the trades. I coordinated material deliveries. I was pretty strict when it came to the work site, the job site. I have steel toes. I have a hard hat. I always wear gloves. I have eye protection. And I am really kind of strict about my people, my workers, making sure that they're safe. So there was one day, actually, I think it might have been even the first day, everybody had gone home. It was starting to get dark, and this was a rented premises. So there was some stuff left on the walls and in the cupboards. And so I changed out of my work clothes. I put on my sneakers, took off my gloves and everything. And I was just wandering around the house. I was taking out down pictures and cleaning out cupboards and filling trash bags. And so I get into the master bedroom, and there's this huge freaking big mirror on the wall. And I examine it closely, and I find out that the frame is screwed to the wall. So I'm thinking, okay, so that frame that's screwed to the wall is probably holding that mirror onto the wall. Might be PL, might be glued on, I don't know. So I start backing off the screws very gently, very gently. Sure enough, down comes the mirror. It was like 2 feet by 3 feet, huge, straight onto my toe. Of course, took off the steel toes, straight onto my toe.
Oh, you
and
didn't
I looked
have your
down.
steel toes on anymore.
No, everybody had gone home at the end of the day, man. I was taking down pictures. What could happen?
You're working.
Oh, man. Well, I know that now.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, onto your
yeah.
toe.
So I looked down, and sure enough, the end of my sneakers starting to turn a lovely bright red color. But that's not even the funny part. Well, it wasn't funny. Well, it is kind of funny, but the funny part was...
It's not funny.
Okay, it's not funny. And I have pictures I can send you. You can put them up on the website if you like.
Oh yeah,
Anyway.
do that. Send it to me.
Will not.
No, definitely do. Send them.
Are you sure? Okay,
Yeah,
I will.
we'll put them up.
I will, okay. But that's not the funny part. The funny part is behind this mirror, somebody had carefully framed between the studs a hiding area. So who the heck knows what was in there?
Oh, there was
Firearms,
nothing in there?
firearms, drugs, who knows what was in there, but that was definitely a hiding place.
Okay.
So it wasn't even drywall behind that mirror.
So you just loosen it, slide the mirror down.
That was
get
the
your
plan.
stuff. Right, right.
And here's this big hole that had literally been framed in there between the studs.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't it have been cool if I found
So-
like, I don't know, live stuff, like, I don't know, snakes or a gun or drugs I could sell to finance my project. I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if I found something like that? So yeah, that was
But nothing
probably,
in there. Did you dig deep? Maybe you missed it.
No, it was carefully framed. Yeah, whatever was in there was not meant to seep down the wall.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah, but it was pretty funny because I'm pretty sure that was the first day. That was demo day, the first day on my first project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so lesson learned. From then on, I left my steel toes on until I got home.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, I put my steel toes on the next day and went to work. I never missed one day of work. So that toe was crammed into those steel toe boots, man. And I put in a full day of work every day from then on until the project was finished.
Well, it sounds like fun. No more blood on the site after that.
No, I still have all my digits. Yeah, we're all good. And I don't project manage anymore either.
You don't? Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it is good to do. You gain a lot of experience and that kind of thing. But as you go, you realize, like, as time becomes more the commodity and the money itself, then people tend to start moving away from it.
Well, that's exactly right. And it's the value of your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have one tip for people starting out or some advice for people just starting out in real estate investing?
Rob, I can't limit that to one tip.
Well, you don't want to give away everything.
I won't give away everything, but yes, I do some coaching, and I love coaching new investors. Investors who've dabbled a little bit, but they haven't actually pulled the trigger. They haven't done any action. Those are my favorite investors. I love coaching them. So first thing, get some education. Whether it be through, I don't know, Legacy or Rain, through an acre weekend, get some education. Be in a room with experienced investors. Learn. Just learn the theory. Second is meetups. Oh my gosh. People are going to say that they're sick of seeing me. Either that or they see me everywhere. Right, guys? Do you see me everywhere? I go to so many real estate investment meetups. In a room, I could probably name half the people in there because I've gone to those meetings for the last 3 or 4 years, and they are still invaluable to me. Still. But for new investors, go to some meetups. I think that also you need to find yourself a coach, a mentor, shadow somebody. Just find somebody who's doing what you want to do and follow them. Get coaching, get mentoring, just go on some of these property tours. Get out there, get your boots on the ground, get out there. And I think the most important thing is action. You have to take action. And not taking action is also a choice.
For those of you listening to this who have just found the podcast, you're going to notice a trend in the advice that our guests give.
Yeah.
You know, really, it's surrounding yourself with the people that are doing what you want to do.
Yep.
And it's taking action. Those are the two biggest ones, I think.
Yeah.
Debbie, how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
Probably the best way is through my website, which is newly updated. And gosh, I think that on that website, you can even hit the little telephone icon and it'll come right through to my phone. It's really awesome. So that's www.rosehillheights.com. Phone number is 1-833-456-7673. And that's the Rose Hill Heights phone number. I'm very active on social media. You can just look up Rose Hill Heights. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of those. So you can find me.
Okay, and we're going to, of course, put links to all of those things in the show notes for this episode. So if everyone missed it, couldn't write it down fast enough, you're driving, whatever, go to the website, click on Debbie's episode, and you will see all of her info there and how to get in touch with her. Sandy, how can people get in touch with you?
Info@McKayRealtyNetwork.com or 289-389-6846.
And people can reach me at rob@mrbreakthrough.ca or 289-927-0464. Debbie, thank you. This has been fantastic. Really appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandy and Rob. You guys do a great job. And one other thing, you got to listen to podcasts. If you're starting out in this business, you got to listen to podcasts. A couple of really great Canadian podcasts out there, and Breakthrough Real Estate Podcast is the number one.
Oh, thank you so much.
Awesome,
it's awesome.
There are a lot of others out there now too. There are some good shows to listen to. So definitely easy, free for the most part resource there for everyone to jump in on. So appreciate that. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, it's been, we've learned a lot again today, and I just want to say it's time for your breakthrough. So get out there and take some action.